Good morning. You're still watching the Breakfast Show on BusinessDay television. This is Business Morning segment. I am Destiny Momoh. Thank you for starting your day with Business Morning. And now let's move to the first conversation for today. AI innovation reshapes Nigeria's battle against online fraud. You will agree with me that in recent years, innovation in artificial intelligence and advancements in cybersecurity have significantly reduced the operations of internet fraudsters, popularly known as Yahoo. Experts say new technologies are not only tightening the digital space, but also protecting individuals, financial institutions, and also businesses from cybercrime. But today, the story is changing. Artificial intelligence now powers advanced fraud detection systems, enabling banks and fintechs block suspicious transactions in real time. Biometric authentication such as fingerprints and facial recognition is also making it harder for cyber criminals to gain unauthorized access. And now beyond technology, collaborations between regulators, law enforcement agencies, and global tech firms is also yielding results. And also the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has recorded multiple clampdowns on cybercrime rings, while increased digital literacy campaigns are helping people recognize and avoid scams, with innovation shaping the cyber landscape. The once thriving Yahoo operations are shrinking. And now very quickly, joining us to access guaranteed information on this development is Dr. Oluwarotimi George-Taylor. He is the influential chairman of Gotham Security Limited and an innovative cybersecurity expert. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
So good to have you this morning. Now, how would you assess the role of artificial intelligence in transforming the fight against cybercrime, particularly internet fraud known as Yahoo?
Well, I'll say technology. We are no longer in a reactive mode. We are now in a proactive mode, to detect when, before several things are done, before a system is breached, when a system is breached, before any damage is done. So now we're at that stage at which we can predict, and we can predict attacks and we can avoid them. So we have made, technology has come to the stage that we've made significant breakthrough in which that we can prevent a large majority of all these attempts.
Oh, okay. So now in practical terms, what AI-powered tools or innovations are actually proving most effective in detecting and even blocking fraudulent online activities?
Okay. So what I would say as of this point in time is CDM tools. CDM stands for Continuous Diagnostics and Mitigation. This is a new program. It was actually rolled out by, the U.S. Homeland Security, in which that they made it mandatory for all federal organizations and defense, U.S. Department of Defense contractors to use. And it has expanded as well, far from, the U.S. federal government to private individuals. And we see it being adopted, around the world, all over. And this is the technology now we're using in order to prevent major crimes. Okay. Major crimes.
All right. So Nigeria has faced reputational challenges due to cyber fraud. You agree with me? But then how much progress has been made in actually curbing these activities with the help of new technology?
So the way it is now, it's easier for us to, track down people, to know when they're in a device, to even monitor them when they're in devices, and they don't even know anymore. That's why you see now the EFCC and the FBI are working together, and they have made a lot of arrests. They are, some people have been extradited, and even those who falsely use Nigeria, who claim they're in Nigeria and perpetrating fraud in other countries, we now see that with thanks to technology. It's no longer a Nigerian thing, so to say, but several other countries also smear our name and, just claim that they are Nigerians and they are doing fraud here when they are in other parts of the world, actually, and they are not even African.
Wow, that's not good enough. But then how do AI-driven fraud detection systems differ from traditional cybersecurity approaches?
So the difference is the traditional attempt is once something has been done, it reacts to it. It maybe revokes access or it closes up the system or it halts all functions as a whole. While the new attempt, which is, with the help of CDM and several other types of software, what we do right now is we check for anomalies, whether, I'll give you an example. There's something that we call uh, um, privilege for documents. If a document's privilege has either been increased, which is the 777, which means read, write, and edit, read, write, view, if it has been increased to that, so it's 677 or 655, you would know that immediately, and you would know that there's somebody that has increased the privilege of a certain company's directory or documents in which they are trying to perpetrate something. So at that point in time, we can now proactively carry out measures to prevent anything being done. At the same point in time, we can notice where the breach came out from, whether it's a RAT, remote access tool, whether it's a Trojan, different ways, identify and then find out the roots of where this attack is coming from.
Oh, wow. So now could you actually explain how biometric authentication and predictive threat intelligence are reshaping online safety for individuals and even businesses alike?
So now, we're moving away from the two-factor authentication method. That is in which maybe you get a text message or you get an email, for you to, log into your certain service. The reason why we're moving towards authentication tools and biometrics is because this is a safer place. If you have Face ID or fingerprint ID, these cannot be cloned remotely. This is something that you have to be in person to authenticate.
Okay.
And same with authentication tools. These are dynamic passwords in which they change every second. And this is how we're staying ahead with keep being safe online. It's easier to use these tools than your regular passwords. And let me give you an example why. Recently, there has been some study and we've noticed a new pattern in which individuals try and hack certain systems. Okay. Remember when you go on websites and you see accept these cookies? These cookies basically is just a reminder for your digital footprint on that website. It saves your password and it basically helps you pause and continue where you are or the things you are looking at on a website. Now, what these hackers do is they have figured out a way to steal people's cookies. Now, with this, they can automatically log in to your account without having to even put in passwords or certain things like that. So that's why with this new technology that we're dealing with now, we also have zero trust, in which that we no longer accept certain types of cookies, in which passwords are stored, and then we rely mostly on authentication or biometric login systems, which help us stay safe online.
So now with cyber criminals also learning to exploit technology, how do AI systems stay ahead of increasingly sophisticated issues like this?
So I mean, nowadays with every problem also brings every solution also brings a new problem. So we have issues like deep fakes. People are getting better at phishing pages and bypass tools and things like that. So at the same point in time, we also evolve. It's the same way new software comes out, we find out vulnerabilities, and then we work on those vulnerabilities to make sure that they are airtight. Right now, as of this point in time, we're able to detect the deepfake pictures, deepfake picture videos, and things like that. So regular things are in which could have been used to bypass an authentication system. For example, if somebody should create an AI image of you. Let's say, for example, there's a popular, bank in which that when you want to do a transfer, it will ask you to blink, it will ask you to maybe open your mouth or something like that.
Yes.
These people can use AI to generate a picture or a video of the person performing those actions. But now we have systems in place in which it can detect that this is a deep fake and it's not a real person. It is a formulated video, and it would instantly reject access to these things.
Oh, wow. So now
these are just things that we're...
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Okay. What role does collaboration between law enforcement, financial institutions, and even global tech companies play in this digital crackdown, as it were?
So I feel like law enforcement is going, they're working more with cybersecurity experts. They are working more with people who deal with, create open source intelligence, OSINT, and things like that. And this has shown to be positive towards, the fight against crime. We just need to develop our culture over here. We have all the resources, we have all the people and things like that, we can really bring a change to the country. For example, the company that I am affiliated with in the US, basically, I think a couple of years ago, we were at the White House when we were discussing CDM, and it came to a reality as of 2018. Now, as of today, we've been able to execute that, and, we have stopped so many potential threats which would have affected, several agencies. And we ourselves, we have this, we have our people who can do these things. We need to focus more on our youth who are, experts and who are willing to, assist the government in this fight against crime. And, that's what we need to do. We don't necessarily need to look beyond our borders to solve these issues.
Wow, so unveiling. Now, how effective has Nigeria's EFCC and other regulatory agencies been leveraging AI-based intelligence to fight these operations, these fraudulent operations?
Well, I would say they are doing a good job. The technology they have now, I'm quite impressed. They're doing a great job in the crackdown. But at the same point in time, I still feel there's room for improvements. I feel now they can still move a step further to be more proactive, rather than reactive. They need to partner with ISPs, internet service providers, to see whether, when there are users who, try and mask their location, either using VPNs, either using SOC proxies or whatsoever to hide their location and perpetrate fraud. Now, if they partner with these organizations, they would be able to proactively see, they will just basically be able to see what people are doing and, be able to prevent certain crime from happening.
Oh, wow. So now, beyond technology, how important is digital literacy in actually preventing ordinary citizens from falling victim to online scams?
Well, this is something that it is very, very key for everyone, Basically, in my organization, we train employees of different organizations on how to stay safe online, avoid phishing tricks, viruses embedded in in emails, even in pictures, certain things that can be linked and things like that. Once people learn how to identify these things, it saves them from being defrauded. So it's something that, you know, the government needs to get involved in, and we need to educate all our citizens, not just people, the white collar people, not just the people who are doing technical opportunities, but everybody. That's what we need to do.
You just spoke about the government now. So now looking ahead, what further innovations or even policies are needed to ensure that Nigeria stays ahead of cyber criminals in the coming years?
I think one thing that the government, there are several things to look down at, and there are several things to look to be happy about. First of all, it's most people feel that majority of our youths are into fraud and things like that, which I would, you know, with the statistics I have, I would beg to differ. But even though we have a population in which majority of our youths are computer literate, now what the government needs to do is find a way to utilize this in a positive way. How can we use this to encourage the youth to do something productive with this, come up with ideas? The government needs to give out loans for grants for STEM, improve development in research and development, you know, promote ideas, people's personal ideas, promote people coding, promote people coming up with technology, because AI is the new oil. You know, that's what is going to drive the future, and we need to encourage our youth to be at that forefront. So with the hardworking youth we have in this country, we only need the government to just promote our ideas, and you know, we would get to that promised land as we are all hoping for.
Oh, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been so unveiling and very revealing this morning. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Oluwarotimi George-Taylor.
Thank you.
Dr. Oluwarotimi George-Taylor is the influential chairman of Gotham Security Limited and an innovative cyber security expert as well as a politician. Thank you so much. On Business Morning, we will be right back after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Business Morning, and still on the Breakfast Show. Now let's move to the second conversation for today. And our youth powering wealth, how Nigerians' innovation is driving a new economic future. Nigeria's youthful population is fast becoming the engine room of economic transformation, with over 60% of citizens under the age of 30. Wealth empowerment trends are reshaping how young people earn, invest, and even thrive in today's economy. Now, from the buzzing tech hubs of Lagos and Abuja to the farmlands of Ogun, Kanu, Nigerian youth are creating new wealth pathways. In the digital economy, in agriculture, youth-led agripreneurs are actually leveraging technology from drone-powered farming to agro-processing startups, unlocking food security and income growth. The fintech sector continues to also empower young Nigerians with digital banking, online investment platforms, and meanwhile, the creative industry, Afrobeats, Nollywood, fashion, and gaming has gone global, opening fresh income streams beyond entertainment. Experts say that alongside entrepreneurship and financial literacy, government and private sector initiatives such as grants, startup accelerators, and training programs are actually helping young Nigerians shift from job seeking to job creation. And now, joining us to understand this development is Dr. Daniel Moses, as a founder, Property Wealth Corporation UK, and also a wealth strategist, a diaspora leader, and also a member of the Forbes Council. Good morning, Dr. Daniel.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, very quickly, Nigerian youth are increasingly leveraging digital platforms and innovation for wealth creation. In your view, which sector currently holds the most sustainable opportunities for young people?
Well, thank you so much for that question. So I think one of the things I always like to say is to have a holistic view of platforms that can actually help a lot of not just Nigerian youth but youth across the world. Fintech, e-commerce, and content creation at the moment are industries that can really help Nigerian youth to democratize and basically help take information to the grassroots. And platforms like social media should be used correctly to enhance businesses. I mean, as someone who has lived in the diaspora for over 20 years, in the last 10 years alone, I specifically have been able to use social media to basically transform my own personal business. So a lot of youth should basically look at using platforms like social media to actually pass across genuine information, inspire, motivate, create collaborations, and as well as raising private capital. And just to kind of take one more step up, because I'm in the real estate industry, platforms like social medias are actually providing information that people can actually use to invest in real estate. So I launched a platform, on my organization called the Property Wealth Fractional Real Estate, for example. Through social media, I'm able to connect people from Africa who have a minimum of £1,000 to co-own a UK real estate property that is cash flow producing, that is also appreciating over a period of years, of time to basically create wealth and generate income.
Oh, wow. So nice. Now, the rise of fintech and the creative economy is changing income streams. Now, how can youth balance quick digital opportunities with long-term wealth sustainability?
Well, diversity is very important. So it is so important for youth to learn how to diversify income, understanding the use of short-term digital income. Again, I'll bring it back to social media. A lot of content creators. I read something on the news the other day. There was a guy from the University of Benin who basically made over 30, I think it was about $30,000, within 48 hours of live streaming on social media, streaming content that was quite impactful. So again, people being able to diversify and using this tool that has been given to us freely without any sort of limitation, for you to understand how can they generate income from that, and again, how can they use that as a tool vehicle to basically create a long wealth, such as again increasing real estate. Why do I talk about real estate a lot? Because real estate is going to be here forever. Land is something that it's going to be there, people can develop. So again, using diversifying income, creating income, and then at the end of the day creating equities in businesses, and using that to drive long-term wealth is the way youth can continue to see how this can help them build their own personal economy and as well as government economies.
Wow, so revealing. Now, access to funding remains a challenge for many startups. What practical steps should government and even the private investors take to actually bridge this financial gap?
Well, access to funding is such a huge, not just in Africa, even in the West. As someone who has basically lived in the diaspora for over 20 years, when I wanted to start my property business, I couldn't raise capital from the bank or get into institutional lenders. So personally, one of the things that I did, because I built so much credibility on social media over the last 10 years, I was able to get people who were friends, who were friends on social media, to take them offline take them from online to offline, so in person to person conversation. And I personally was able to take money from these people over the period of the last 10 years. I've been able to take over 2.5 million in pound sterling to build a multi-million pound business, and as well as now helping so many other individuals basically invest in real estate. So when we talk about capital, capital shouldn't just be grants alone that the government should give. I think the government should create more more enabling environments. For example, stable Wi-Fi, stable access to tech, and as well as offering mentorship. And these different kind of enabling capabilities should now be able to empower the African youths, and not just African youths as well in the diaspora.
Oh, wow. Um, Talking about infrastructural gaps like poor electricity and internet connectivity still affecting youth-led businesses, what policy or private interventions are most urgent to address these barriers? I know you just spoke about the government intervention, but what other measures can actually address these barriers?
Think it's all about policies. The government needs to create policies. The governments are not there to run businesses. The governments are there to basically providing an enabling environment. I mean, if you basically go back to history, I say this all the time. Africa sometimes could not be one of the easiest places to start a business, but if you do start a business, it can thrive over a period of years, over a period of time. But if the infrastructures are there, if there's the infrastructures are there, it attracts private investors to come in to basically invest in energy, invest in power. I mean, in the 21st century, today we still have struggles with electricity. I mean, I just came back from Kenya, and Kenya currently across Kenya, I was in Nairobi, and Nairobi has 24 hours electricity. And the other day I was in Rwanda. Rwanda, though there are power cuts, but the power cuts are not more than a couple of hours in a day, maybe an hour or 2 hours in a day. So there's electricity. So again, governments are basically there to provide infrastructure. So when the infrastructures are there, it automatically would attract the appropriate entities to come into this country and basically shake up the entire industry, provide electricity and so on. So I think Nigeria specifically needs to become one of the most, and they need to build one of the most enabling environments, so that business can come in and thrive.
Yeah, I overheard you talked about building Wi-Fi in Nigeria and also making electricity very, very affordable and very available so the youths can actually take advantage of it. Now, beyond capital, how important is mentorship and financial beyond capital, right? How important is mentorship and financial literacy in actually ensuring that youth don't just make money, but also build lasting wealth?
Mentorship is quite key. As someone who is a certified Forbes coach myself, guidance in entrepreneurship enables entrepreneurs to mitigate risk, avoidable mistakes, and as well as mentors are always there to share from their failures, their wins. For the first time in Nigeria history, I'm currently reading Femi Otedolar's book, How to Make It Big. It's been a lot of inspiration from that book,
Wow.
which completely shows for once upon a time in the Nigerian environment, in the African soil, there are all these multi-billion business owners who have been able to make it really big, now sharing their nuggets, how they got there. So mentorship is key. The Igbo community, the Igbo society has made it very clear. An Igbo man goes to employ, or rather take a family relative, teach them the same business, and then they graduate after a couple of months, after a couple of years, pardon me, after a couple of years, and maybe 5 years, 10 years, and they go and set up the same business, and they become so successful in that business because they've learned that business over years and years and years and years. So mentorship is everything. So mentorship doesn't really have to be the use of money, or mentorship doesn't even have to be the use of basically telling someone what to do. It's also being able to help entrepreneurs leverage the risk that they've taken over time, so that those they're mentoring don't have to go through the same thing that they have been through. So mentorship is everything. And mentorship, it's just going to help a lot of African entrepreneurs to shape their future and to be able to build legacies and build wealth. Entrepreneurs are the builders of nations. So, and through the appropriate type of mentorship, there can be more emerging successful entrepreneurs across Africa.
Oh, wow. So now many young Nigerians are turning to self-taught digital skills. How can formal education be restructured to actually support wealth empowerment more effectively?
First of all, I think our curriculum, there needs to be a curriculum shift in Africa. There needs to be, I think our schooling system a little bit still about, it's still kind of update, dated. We need to basically start introducing tech. We need to start, introducing mentorship. We need to start, introducing entrepreneurship. We need to start talking about coding. We need to talk about financial literacy. Our school system needs to move from the traditional, academical system and basically embrace,
Vocation.
the shift that is taking place. I mean, look at the use of AI. Back in the days, we had Google. Google, is fast fading away, and AI is coming in place. How many of our youths in primary schools knows about AI today? So it needs an overhaul, and through overhaul exposure, I think our youth are our greatest resources to drive African forward.
Oh wow, you just made mention of something very valid. Talking about, learning AI from the primary schools, it will go a long way. But you also agree with me that children born these days were born into these things that sometimes they don't even need to learn these things. You see a child of months old pressing a gadget and getting to where they truly want to get to. Now, how do you think the government can actually, bring this idea you just gave, into functional display so that they start it? Because I know that in China, in other Asian countries, and in other, Western world, they're already doing this, catching them young.
Say that you can say that again, catching them young. I think, yeah, I mean, I was born in the 80s, very early in the 80s. From when I was born, as a young man, respecting your elders was very important. So respecting your elders was nurtured into you, was built into you. You don't square up to look at your elder. And that was the era I was coming from. And today's children that we're raising in this country, people call you by your name, no respect, and all of these things. So, where am I going to with this? It shows that we need to really catch them young, for us to build a society that is wealthy, a society that becomes progressive, a society that becomes, a leader. We need to basically teach our children. We need to basically catch these people young, give them tools, not to gain, not to commit fraud, not to do things that are on, that parents can be unproud of. So basically, giving them tools, systems, introducing that AI is here to stay. AI is here to revolutionize economies. AI is here to revolutionize businesses, and basically teaching them how to actually use these AIs as a progressive, as not as a, a destructive. AI, and it's a good thing for business. AI is a good thing for humanity. But are we teaching our children? Are we rewiring our children's brain from a very young age for them to go out and use this tool that's been given to us to create economy that we want to see and be proud of?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that. But you also agree with me that the young people are actually taking advantage of these trends. And sometimes you would think that, people born in the 80s are more successful in their thinking capacity and all of that one. But it is so shocking how that these young ones are able, to be very strong innovators and policy leaders and even business leaders, as it were. So what do you make of this?
Fair enough. You used the word just now that a lot of our young ones. I don't agree that a lot of our younger ones are, actually aware of what is available out there. Because I mean, I lived in the UK for over 20 years, and I recently been to the local primary schools. And trust me, some of these students still don't know what a computer looks like. Some of these children still don't. A smartphone seems to be something special. My daughter is 15 years old. From the age of 11, she was already using an iPhone. So let's bring that back to the community. Let's bring that to the local. We're not talking about the 30%. We're talking about the 70%. How many of those children have an access to a laptop? So, and these are the children of tomorrow. These are the leaders of tomorrow. So we need to kind of we need to look past the 30% and look into the 70% of these children who have never seen a computer before. And these are the leaders of tomorrow. So until we basically go back to the grassroots and basically make a normal public primary school have access to electricity, access to tech, access to tools, access to technology. It's a big conversation. We can be here all day.
Leader in the creative space and well grounded in real estate. So, how can the digital transformation help create wealth for the average person in Nigeria?
Well, as a property leader myself, as someone who's done various property vehicles across the globe, in terms of how can we take wealth to people? I recently launched a crowdfund, well, not crowdfunding platform. I recently launched a fractional real estate platform that allows people to co-own an asset, whether it's producing a cash flow asset or whether it's an asset or land that basically requires many people to pool funds together. So I'll give an example. 10 people bring in, I'm going to keep using pounds because I'm still trying to struggle with the Nigerian and Naira and the pounds. So £1,000 from 100 people gives me £1,000,000. That is about 2.2 billion Naira. A 2.2 billion Naira in assets in Abuja or somewhere in VI or somewhere in Ikeja in Lagos can produce at least about 5% income per annum. So, but however, if one person is going to go and raise about 22 million naira, it becomes a mission. So let's talk about how an average 30% Nigerian in the higher income bubble can basically co-fund an asset and then put wealth in their family's pocket. So what does that mean? It means that with a minimum of $1,000, many people could be crowding and owning assets together. And this is one of the things I do. In the last 5 to 10 years alone, I've continually, populate this information. How transparent organizations like ourselves are basically going to the grassroots, going to people, with a minimum of $1,000, which is less than 2 million naira, to basically go out there and invest and co-own assets that is cash producing and that also comes into capital appreciation in the nearest future, which can be resale, after 5 years, and equity can be split across these individuals so that wealth can be put back in their pocket. And it just goes on. If it's good, you should repeat the cycle. And that is how wealth is created. It becomes a compounding effect.
Oh, wow. So now with over 60% of Nigeria's population under 30, what does this youth-driven wealth trend mean for the country's economic outlook, especially in the next decade?
I think we need to harness we need to harness our youth energy. We just have to harness our youth energy. We need to basically sort for leaders who have walked the work to basically teach entrepreneurship to these people. Entrepreneurial hubs needs to be built across, well, I wouldn't use the word built up, probably. I'll probably say entrepreneurial events needs to be promoted across the country. The Nigerian youth needs to basically start to be empowered in entrepreneurship so that they can start to build thriving businesses. Otherwise, collaborations needs to be promoted, but collaboration cannot be promoted without credibility. So we need to first think about how do we go back and make the Nigerian youth credible again. And once we're credible, how can we foster more collaborations? And through more collaborations, wealth can be built, and these can be delivered through entrepreneurial hubs, or these can be delivered through entrepreneurial events across the country. With that, the Nigerian youth can start to build real wealth, and we can obviously completely eliminate the pandemic, which is currently in Africa, of begging cycles, and as well as on expected expectations of not going to seek a job and basically becoming, a true leader and business driven individuals that can basically move Africa forward.
Now, so as a wealth expert that you are, and, you've spoken so much about wealth creation and all of that one, and also as a Forbes Council member, how do you think a lot of young Nigerians can be admitted into the Forbes list?
Well, uh, there are different tiers of the Forbes list.
Okay.
It's a platform that enables and promotes credibility, like I said just now. So credibility is everything. I mean, I got invited to the Forbes Council platform after being in the UK real estate market for nearly 5 years. And it was basically based on recommendations, based on my appearances, and based on business records. So at the level that I am in, it comes with a lot of hard work. So entrepreneurs in Africa needs to understand there is time of seeding, planting, and watering. So when you're still seeding, when you're still trying to get the seed on the ground, you might not be able to get into platforms or get recognition. So you just have to understand the 5, 10, 15, 20 years plan is what gets people credibility. If you do one thing long enough with massive credibility, after 5 to 10 years, opportunities to be on platforms like Forbes will knock on your door. So doing one thing long enough and getting known long enough, with intention, with credibility, is what gives you platform to speak. So entrepreneurs in Africa needs to understand doing one thing long enough, many repetitions, many cycles, and automatically platforms will recognize them.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel Moses, for your time this morning and for giving us so much to take home this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you so much. Now, we've been talking to Dr. Daniel Moses, the founder of Property Wealth Corporation UK, a wealth strategist and diaspora leader. And now, this is how we earn business money today. Thank you for staying with us as we track the latest trends shaping markets and the economy. Remember, business decisions are stronger when backed by the right information. I'm Destiny Momoh. So stay tuned for more updates on Big Story and join us again tomorrow for another edition of Business Money on the Breakfast Show. Good morning.